Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Before we start guys, I want to apologize for the lack of videos within the past couple of days. Been really busy focusing on my exams, which should be ending by the end of next week. So my apologies, please do bear with me once I get those exams done, and then I'll be pumping out videos on a regular basis once again. So with that, we are going to go and take a look at the deck that I've decided to build today. Pretty cool sort of deck, but not really too fond of the main attacker. So the main attacker of our deck is going to be the Team Aqua's Kyogre EX with the Power Saver ability. Just makes it a bit of an awful Pokemon. I mean, Power Saver makes it such that if there are 4 or fewer Team Aqua Pokemon in play, this Pokemon is unable to attack. So we're going to have to shut down this ability ourselves. Not exactly the greatest thing, but unfortunately there's no real other sort of way to get around it. So we're running a total of 3 copies of the Team Aqua's Kyogre EX in our deck, guys. But the Aqua Impact attack is, again, a pretty awful attack. It's able to hit for an initial 80 damage with an additional 20 damage for each energy card required for opponent's active Pokemon to be able to retreat. Not exactly the greatest attack. There's no sort of guarantee that we'll be getting one-hit knockouts. I mean, if our opponent's active Pokemon already have a relatively high retreat cost, so usually 2 or more energies required, then we're usually able to hit for one-hit knockouts. But other than that, if we're facing, for example, a Mega Manectric EX, then there's no actual way that we're going to be able to get those big one-hit knockouts. So that's a little bit disappointing, but unfortunately it's just something that we're going to have to bear with. So let's go and take a look at some of the other cards that are going to make this Pokemon just a little bit more feasible. So I did just mention that Aqua Impact requires a lot of energy cards. Well, in case I didn't, I'm mentioning it right now. It requires a total of 4 energy cards. My goodness, for such an awful attack as well. Blastoise with the Deludge ability is the Pokemon that's going to really make all the difference in the game. We're going to use it for that energy acceleration to allow our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX to really be a much more feasible Pokemon. So with this, we are able to attach as many water energy cards from our hand to one of our Pokemon. Namely speaking, our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX, and then we're able to attack. So Blastoise is very important. We're running 2 copies of him in our deck. We're not running any Water Trolls or Squirtles, however. So the method with which we will be getting the Blastoise into play is through the usage of the Archie's Ace in the Hole. You guys are quite familiar with what this card is, but let's go and briefly discuss it. So this card only works if it happens to be the only card in our hand, and if we do play it, we're able to look for any water type Pokemon from our discard pile, and then from our discard pile into the bench, and then we draw into 5 cards. So very cool. Works exceptionally well with Pokemon such as the Empoleon and the Blastoise. An increasingly popular card, seems to be much more popular as opposed to the Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll see some usage of the Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick. But anyways, Archie's Ace in the Hole is a very important card. We have quite a few different methods to try and get it. One of those methods is through the usage of the Jirachi EX's Stellar Guidance ability. This allows us to look for any supporter type cards in our hand, from our deck, and then put it into our hand. So Jirachi EX is very important. It's been working exceptionally well just to allow us to bring out that Blastoise nice and early. So we're running a single copy of the Jirachi EX in our deck. Another sort of method is that we could always use the VS Seeker to grab out the Archie's Ace in the Hole. So usually we'll Battle Compressor the Archie's Ace in the Hole, a Blastoise, and potentially one of our executes into the discard pile, and then we could go right ahead and potentially use the VS Seeker to grab it out. So Battle Compressor is another very important card. We're running a total of 2 copies of this in our deck. Speaking of the Execute, with its propagation ability, will allow us to try and get the ideal number of cards in our hand, such that we can then go on to using the Archie's Ace in the Hole. Running a single Execute should be more than enough. Its propagation ability works exceptionally well with Archie's Ace in the Hole. One thing I do want to mention though, guys, is that the Jirachi EX and the Execute are Stage 1 Pokemon, basic Pokemon, and of course that means that the Silent Lab will shut down their abilities. So we have to be a little bit mindful when playing down that Silent Lab. Ideally, you don't want to play it until we actually have a Blastoise in our bench. That's sort of the golden rule. I mean, otherwise you can pretty much doom yourself from really having a chance at any sort of victory, just because of course these are 2 very important Pokemon. So just something to keep in mind, guys. But with that, let's go and discuss the very last Pokemon in our deck. That is the Jellicent with the Stickiness ability. This is the Pokemon that will allow our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX to really be a little bit more menacing, allows us to increase the retreat cost of each of our opponent's Pokemon, and then we are able to hit for more damage using the Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. So very important Pokemon, guys. We are running a total of 4 copies of the Jellicent and 4 copies of the Frillish in our deck. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. let's take a look at some of the item cards in our deck. One of those is going to be the Aqua Bike. Allows us to look at the 2 top cards of our deck and put one of them into our hand. Again, this is mainly to be used to look for that Archie's Ace in the Hole. Another card that it is actually used for as well though is the Silent Lab. Again, Silent Lab, very, very important. We need it at play at all times for Team Aqua's Kyogre X to be able to attack. Acrobike is going to help make life just a little bit more bearable and easier for us to be able to draw into that Silent Lab. So we're running a total of 3 copies of this in our deck. The Ace Spec card is going to be the Computer Search, and the whole purpose, once again, is for us to be able to bring out that Blastoise. I apologize guys, I'm sure I sound like a broken soundtrack at this point, but again, I really want to dig into the idea that the Blastoise is the card that we need. That energy acceleration mechanism is crucial to allowing our Team Aqua's Kyogre X to be a feasible Pokemon. I mean, energy sort of acceleration Pokemon. I mean, if you guys don't want to take the Blastoise route, that's absolutely fine. You guys can go with the Landorus, for example, or the Mega Man EX, or maybe even the Thundurus. That's okay, but we need some sort of energy acceleration mechanism. In our case, that's the Blastoise. Computer Search is going to help us with respects to that, so we'll be running this as our Ace Spec card. I'm just going to be taking a look at a few other item cards that I feel need a little bit of mentioning. So one of those cards is the Max Potion. This allows us to completely heal our Pokemon back to full HP. Luckily, we have the Blastoise, so we can always attach those energy cards all over again. Of course, Max Potion will get rid of all of our energy cards. However, we are also running a total of 3 copies of the Spear Energy Retrieval, so that Max Potion is not going to be all that big of an issue. We're going to be able to use the Spear Energy Retrieval regardless, look for those water energy cards and attach them all over again. So Max Potion is a very nice card to include in this sort of deck. We'll be running a total of 2 copies of it in our case. Other cards I'm going to be going over very quickly. One of those is the Escape Rope. Allows us to switch in between our Pokemon. The Starling Megaphone, you guys are very familiar with. Allows us to mainly deal with those Garbodor sorts of matchups. A total of 4 Ultra Balls we are running, guys, to be able to look for any of our Pokemon. 2 copies of the VS Seeker, 1 Lysander, 1 Lysander Trump card, a total of 4 Ants and 4 Junipers for some draw support, 4 Silent Labs, and a total of 10 Water Energy cards. So with that, let's go and see what this deck is capable of, guys. Again, I'm really not happy about the Team Aqua's Kyogre X attack really being dependent on our opponent's retreat cost. I mean, even with the Jellicent, it still may not be enough for us to be able to hit for those big knockouts. So that's really what makes this Pokemon so awful. I mean, it requires such a tremendous amount of setup, and at the end of the day, it doesn't even guarantee that we're able to get a knockout. That's one of the reasons that I really do not like Team Aqua's Kyogre X. And I'll definitely say that the Team Magma's Groudon EX is a much better Pokemon. Okay, so I think we're going to be encountering a Seismitoad EX deck. Yes, that seems like it's very likely, guys. Hopefully we can bring out that Blastoise nice and early. So let's go and bring out the Kyogre EX as our active Pokemon. If we can get a few more discard cards in our hand, we should actually be able to bring out that Blastoise third one. No, so let's keep that Jirachi EX in our hand, draw onto some additional cards, and again, I don't want to lay down that Pokemon just yet. Okay, so we are seeing the very ugly Seismitoad as our opponent's active Pokemon. Now, if I can somehow get rid of our hand. Okay, so let's go and attach a Water Energy card to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. Have to get rid of that Blastoise, the Jellicent, the 2 supporter cards. Okay, so we can actually make this work. Alright, so let's go and use the Ultra Ball to get rid of the Professor Juniper and the N from our hand. Look for a Frillish and then lay it down into the bench. Use the Computer Search to get rid of that Blastoise and the Jellicent. Look for what else would I like to grab into? Because I will be laying down the Jirachi EX. Sorry, the Jirachi EX. So we will be looking for the Archie's Ace in the Hole. So let's see. Have the Blastoise in our discard palette. You know what? Let's go and look for the actually no, I have a Silent Lab in our hand. So just seeing what I would like to draw into, guys. Something that I can hopefully play into the field or something like that. Okay, I think we're gonna go and stick with another Frillish just for now. So let's go and bring out another Frillish at play. Bring out the Jirachi EX and look for the Archie's Ace in the Hole, lay down the Silent Lab, and then use the Archie's Ace in the Hole to bring that Blastoise from our discard pile into play, and use the Acro Bike. So we do have a Silent Lab, we also have one in play. We have a Juniper in our hand though, so let's go and look for another Silent Lab in case our opponent decides to bring out the Verbank City Gym. So let's go and use the Deluxe to attach the Water Energy card to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX, and then we're going to go and end our turn. The real nice thing about Seismitoad EX in this sort of matchup is that it's a very bulky Pokemon, 3 energy cards required for it to be able to retreat, so that's going to make life at least a little bit more bearable for us, even though we are going to get item locked, head ringered, all those annoying sorts of things. Our opponent is going to Lysander out our Blastoise and try to knock it out. So I'm hoping that we don't get item locked, guys, because then of course our Blastoise is unfortunately sort of doomed and we're not really able to do much with it. Okay, so we are going to get Hypnotoxic Lasered. Again, provided our opponent does not use the Quicking Punch, we may just be able to save it. Awesome, looks like the opponent was not really able to do anything just yet. So let's go and bring out 2 of our Jellicents, bring down the Silent Lab, heal our Blastoise back to full HP, and Juniper for some new cards in our hand. And okay, so we should still have an Escape Rope. Let's go and use the Acro Bike. We have the Starling Megaphone and the Battle Compressor. Let's go and look for the Starling Megaphone. Feel like it may just be a little bit more worthwhile of a card. Can't attack with our Blastoise, unfortunately, so let's go and use the Energy Acceleration to look for 2 Water Energy cards, to attach 2 Water Energy cards to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. We may be getting Headringered and things like that as well. Before we do ultimately get item locked, guys, I feel like we should use the Ultra Ball. I mean, I could attach another Water Energy card to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. Not sure if that's the best sort of choice, but you know what, we're gonna go and do it anyway. So let's go and use that Water Energy card and attach it to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. Ultra Ball to get rid of that Jellicent, and the Starling Megaphone. Look for another one of our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX, guys, and bring it down into play, and then unfortunately we have to end our turn. Hoping that we don't get item locked, guys. I'm really hoping for the Escape Rope that we have in our deck. Unfortunately, we have already used the Computer Search. Hopefully our Acro Bikes and things like that can help. We have the N at hand, which can unfortunately help our opponent as well. Hoping that it doesn't, but let's go and use it. And we're going to get the Max Potion once again, but the Blastoise needs 4 energy cards to be able to retreat. Again, we don't have enough just yet. Have an Ultra Ball in our hand, which is relatively useless right now, so let's go and attach some Water Energy cards to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX and just load it up before our opponent is really able to do anything. And yeah, so we're gonna go and end our turn. I'm not gonna use the Max Potion again, may come in handy just a little bit later. Unfortunately, we can't really do much, and our opponent will probably be able to kickstart a strategy now. So we do see the Head Ringer coming. Again, this Team Aqua's Kyogre EX does have 5 energy cards, so that's kind of nice. I am glad that I decided to attach an additional energy card to him, because we're going to be seeing a whole ton of hammers, Head Ringers, just a whole lot of Toad annoyance. So the opponent is going to hit our Blastoise for 50 damage. Luckily, it is still alive. Unfortunately, I have to end our turn. Silent Lab is still at play though, so Seismitoad EX is fair game for us to get a knockout on. It has 5 energy cards on its retreat cost right now, so that's definitely quite nice. Even if our opponent does have the what's it called, the Verbank City Gem, we'll still be able to attack thanks to the fact that we do have another Silent Lab in our hand. Luckily, we were able to bring out that Blastoise from turn 1, which was very crucial, of course, given the fact that we were facing a Seismitoad EX type deck. Alright, so don't really think our opponent will be able to do much. He will probably try and knock out our Blastoise, and then our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX can go and knock out our opponent's Seismitoad EX and allow us to draw onto 2 of our prize cards. So let's see what our opponent decides to do. Not really sure what it is, but of course we are going to see our Blastoise getting knocked out. Our opponent already used the N, so luckily for us, we're not going to get Lysander or anything yet. We are seeing another Head Ringer come out. Again, really grateful that we attached another Water Energy card to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX before we did happen to get Head Ringer. So let's go and bring out the Team Aqua's Groudon EX. And I have the Lysander, of course I'm not going to use it just yet. I do want to knock out our opponent's active Seismitoad EX. That is going to be our priority. So let's go and use the Aqua Impact, knock it out, and then draw onto 2 of our prize cards. Again, this is the ideal sort of matchup, guys. Jellicent is allowing us to increase the retreat it costs just enough for us to be able to hit for those big knockouts. So we are going to see the Hypnotoxic Laser and the head. But of course, if we don't happen to get item locked, I could always use the escape rope to switch in between our Pokemon. We have the Superior Energy Retrieval at hand as well, but no water energy cards in our discard pile just yet, so that's kind of useless. We are going to see the Juniper from our opponent's hand as well. And yeah, so let's see what we are going to see. Hopefully our opponent is not able to retreat his Slurpuff just yet, so that we can use our energy cards. Okay, so our opponent is going to get the head on the Crushing Hammer. Again, if we don't get item locked this turn, guys, we will have the usage of the Superior Energy Retrieval, which is kind of nice, because I can use it to discard the Execute from our hand and the Blastoise, and then retrieve that water energy card all over again. Looks like we are going to stay asleep, unfortunately. But that's okay. I can use the escape rope and then switch into our second Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. So let's go and do that. Let's bring out the other Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. Let's see which of our opponent's Pokemon are going to come out. We'll be able to get a knockout because I will be using the Max Potion to get rid of all the energy cards attached to one of our Team Aqua's Kyogre EXs and then retrieve them using the Superior Energy Retrieval. So let's go and use the Max Potion, get rid of all those water energy cards. The Superior Energy Retrieval we will be using to get rid of our Execute and the Blastoise from our hand. Look for 4 water energy cards, and then no energy acceleration mechanism. Actually, that's something I forgot, guys. Oops. So that may have been a little bit of a mistake. Let's go and bring out a Frillish. For the time being, attach a water energy card to our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX, and then unfortunately have to end our turn. So one more energy card and then I should be able to get a knockout. But again, we are going to see a whole ton of hammers. We've only seen a single hammer come out right now, guys, so that's a little bit unfortunate. The annoyance is going to continue. I have placed down a Frillish just because I don't really think we'll be able to bring out another one of our Blastoises from the discard pile just yet. Our opponent is attaching the Muscle Bands, things like that, to Seismitoad EX. Again, though, if he doesn't have the Float Stone or the Switch or anything like that, then we're not going to remain item locked, so that's kind of nice. I'd prefer not to, just so for the game is a little bit easier for us. So let's see what our opponent does. If he does not get rid of an energy card attached to Team Aqua's Kyogre EX, or does not put us to sleep through the usage of a card such as the Hypnotoxic Laser, I'll be Lysandering out that Seismitoad EX with the double colors energy, and then drawing onto 2 additional prize cards. Hypnotoxic Laser flips a heads again. Our opponent is getting extremely lucky with his flips, and we're going to get details. My goodness, guys. It looks like this game is significantly against us. Let's go and attach a water energy card to our benched Team Aqua's Kyogre EX, I guess. And I mean, I could use the Ultra Ball, but I don't really want to right now, so we're just going to go and end our turn. Again, Juniper would not be all that wise of a choice. We have a whole ton of nice cards in our hand. Don't want to be discarding them just yet. Decided not to attach the water energy card to our active Team Aqua's Kyogre EX, because again, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. We may just see a barrage of hammers or something like that coming out. We are seeing a whole ton of Slurpuffs. And yeah, so unfortunately it looks like the game is starting to look slightly more favorable onto our opponent's side. I mean, we do have the advantage, but again, Seismitoad EX and Slurpuff combination is just such an annoying combination. And we're also seeing the Dragalge. That's a little bit atypical. Don't really see a whole lot of Seismitoad EX decks that run Dragalge, so that's cool. We are seeing a little bit of uniqueness to this deck, but again, just a very, very annoying type of deck. Our opponent also has to be a little bit mindful with respect to how many cards he has remaining in his deck, of course, because if he's not, then he could potentially deck out. Okay, so I'm hoping that the opponent does not have any more Hypnotoxic Lasers or Crushing Hammers, and then we should be able to knock out one of our opponent's Seismitoad EXs during our turn, just because, of course, we have a couple of water energy cards in our hand. So, let's see, we're just waiting to see what our opponent decides to do. I would actually be a little bit happy if we do see a Seismitoad EX come out. Okay, so we are going to see the Lysander's trump card. Opponent is shuffling all those cards back into the deck. So now we can more freely use cards such as the Juniper. It's okay. I don't particularly mind discarding some additional cards from our hand. Again, the Slurpuff is going to use its special ability to allow our opponent to draw into some additional cards. Seismitoad EX comes out, and now we are going to knock it out with our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. So we have the Lysander at hand. Again, I'm not going to use the Juniper. I'm hoping we should be able to win during our next turn. So let's go knock out our opponent's Seismitoad EX and then draw onto 2 more prize cards. Okay, so Looking like a bit of a tight game. Again, I'm not really sure. The game could still take turns and our opponent could somehow make a comeback. We do again need to be we really need to make sure that a Silent Lab is at play at all times, guys. Again, if our opponent is able to get rid of our Silent Lab and then use a card such as N, lower the number of cards in our hand to a mere 2, then that's really when the game can entirely turn around. Again, Seismitoad EX, incredibly annoying, but I feel like we are putting an incredibly good fight right now. So we are seeing another Seismitoad EX come out. Of course, these Slurpuffs are going to use their ability to draw onto a whole ton of cards. Really hoping that we don't see an N, guys, because if we don't, then we should hopefully be able to win, provided, of course, that we don't see a whole barrage of cards such as the Crushing Hammer or the Hypnotoxic Laser, putting our active Team Aqua's Kyogre EX back to sleep. So let's see what our opponent is going to do this time around. I mean, I may just have to resort to using the Juniper. Really don't want to, because that Lysander is such an important card, could break that Toad lock and could give us the victory as well. So the opponent is going to switch into another one of his Slurpuffs. Doesn't want to get D1 with the Floatstone knocked out. So we should be able to win, guys. I mean, if we don't see an N or something like that, we should be able to go on to the victory. I mean, opponent already has used his retreat. I'm assuming he just does not want me to be able to get another knockout and then draw onto 2 more prize cards. But of course, if he does not have a switch or an N, we should be able to win. We are going to see another Ultra Ball. Probably going to see that Dragalge finally come into play, just preventing our poison Pokemon from being able to retreat. That's absolutely fine, though. I was not really planning on retreating our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX regardless. It looks like the opponent was running some Silent Labs as well, so that's kind of nice. He should have potentially made a little bit more space for his... Okay, so it looks like we are indeed going to see the switch, but if we don't get put to sleep or the Crushing Hammer does not come out, we should be able to win. So, an extremely annoying game. The computer search is going to come out, and I think we are going to see the end, guys, unfortunately. That's definitely the smartest choice that our opponent could play. If he does not, then we are probably going to be able to win. So, let's see what our opponent decides to grab with his computer search. Again, this may just decide the fate of the game. Okay, it looks like it's a Burbank City Gym. Again, I'm not really sure if our opponent has another supporter card in his hand. Okay, so he has the Juniper, so we should be able to win, hopefully. Again, our opponent is taking a ridiculously long time, just playing a whole ton of cards, hoping that we don't see a barrage of hammers, guys. Okay, so that's one Crushing Hammer, 8 Tails, thank goodness. The Team Aqua's Kyogre EX is kind of safe right now. Hopefully we don't see more hammers or the Hypnotoxic Laser. We do have the Silent Lab in our hand, so we should be able to win. Okay, so Hypnotoxic Laser, 8 Tails. Looks like our opponent's luck is finally running out. He was getting a whole ton of heads early on. Another Hypnotoxic Laser, Tails one more time. I think the game has decided that Seismitoad EX may not just be able to win. Okay, so it looks like a third Hypnotoxic Laser finally puts our Team Aqua's Kyogre EX to sleep. Man, I am hoping that this does not seal our fate, guys. Awesome, we are going to wake up. Let's go knock out our opponent's Seismitoad EX by bringing down the Silent Lab and then getting rid of him to draw onto our last 2 prize cards. Extremely annoying game, guys, but looks like Team Aqua's Kyogre EX was actually able to pull through it. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.